Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's about 9:30. Once again, a busy day across the area, depending on where you are. Here on Long Island, not really, but just to our west and north, you can see here on this satellite all the thunderstorms popping up. And some of these kind of just sat in the same areas for a while, causing some flooding as well with these storms. And we'll take you to the radar right now, and you'll see here. Things have quieted down, though we still have, it looks like a bad storm in Connecticut. But earlier, it was a different story. And if we go look at the Ventus sky here and rewind the radar to earlier, let's go to 2 o'clock here. And you'll see these storms that popped up over Jersey. And they kind of just sat in the same area. So we go 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You can see it's still sitting there, western Ocean County there into Burlington County. Still, here we are at 4 o'clock. It's still there. 5 o'clock, it kind of lets up for a little bit, and then finally it's over by 6. But it was pouring for a number of hours in this area in western Ocean County, and I have a feeling there's been some flash flooding over there as well. So let's first, I guess we'll go to the, let's see if we can get some storm reports at least from our weather service, and we may have to go and look at the Philadelphia one as well. So here we go. And, of course, the media also talking about this. Powerful storms bring damage across New Jersey. You can see trees knocked down here. Trees knocked down. We don't want to play it. We're not going to play the video. But so it says here, Madison, cars damaged by heavy rain and wind. Tree branches falling on cars. Huge mess here. A car stuck in high water in Newark, so there was some flooding as well going on. If you go to News 12 New Jersey, here you'll see powerful storms leave damage. Powerful storm across damage. They don't have a video, which is kind of odd. No video. You'd think they would have a video. There was actually a video earlier, but we're not going to play it anyway. So let's go to the text products here, and you'll see here. 0.75-inch hail in Rockland County. I told you there was hail in these storms. Half-inch hail in Nanuet in Rockland County. Thunderstorm wind damage in Airmont. Power out with the tree that fell on Saddle River Road in Spring Valley. 1.25 inches of... Oh, my, that's large. 1.25-inch hail. That's half dollar size. Reported in Annandale in Staten Island. And this report comes out of Huguenot. Thunderstorm wind damage in Mahopac and Putnam County. A tree with large branches fell on a school bus on Agar Lane in Mahopac with the power company and highway department arriving on scene shortly after. Lightning started a house fire in Chester in Orange County. Thunderstorm wind damage in Port Jervis. 1-inch hail in Washingtonville in Orange County. Tree blocking a roadway on Nelson Road with crew responding. In Scotchtown, thunderstorm wind damage. Thunderstorm wind damage in Pine Bush in Orange County with trees on wires, power line down on tree, and so lots of these. Reports out a 0.50-inch in Orange County of hail, flash flood in Monroe, vehicles being dispatched to respond to floodwaters, trees and wires down in Fourth Cliff in Orange County, flash flood in Orange County, flash flood in Chester, flash flood in Port Jervis, road closures around. And again, these storms are slow moving, and that was the problem. Thunderstorm, they say fast moving, but not really. I don't know if the media calls it fast moving. It's not. The storms are moving slow. The tree blocking the road on Harrison Avenue. Thunderstorm wind damage in Roselle in Union, New Jersey. Large tree falling on a car in Newark. Tree branches on road in Livingston. 0.50-inch hail in Bergen County. 0.50-inch hail in, that was Maywood. Also, Saddlebrook had half-inch hail. Thunderstorm wind damage in Lodi. 1-inch hail reported. Hail of 0.88-inch nickel-sized hail reported in Washington Township in Bergen County. Another report of dying to nickel-sized hail in Bergen County. Another 1-inch hail in Upper Saddle River. A 66-mile-an-hour wind gust in Teterboro Airport in Bergen County. That is impressive. Thunderstorm wind damage in Hillsdale. Thunderstorm wind damage in Rivervale. Large tree uprooted. Large white pine uprooted. That's not a pitch pine, but a white pine uprooted, completely blocking the road. This is in Rivervale and Bergen County, so that's not the Pine Barrens over there, but it just shows you the power. Flash flood in Paramus, multiple streets closed due to flooding. Flash flood in Bergen County. Thunderstorm wind damage in River Vale. Hail of 0.75 inch in Tottenville, Staten Island. That's penny-sized hail. Thunderstorm wind damage in New Fairfield and Fairfield County, Connecticut. Thunderstorm wind damage in Newton, and thunderstorm wind damage also in Monroe in Fairfield County. And this doesn't even include what happened in Mount Holly's range. So let's go look and see. When, of course, they're going to make us look because they don't believe in putting links up to their storm reports here. Absolutely not. So, yep. No links to the storm reports here. Though it does have to do with, I think, for records broken. That was yesterday. So, let's go to text products here, and we'll get the storm reports from this office. I don't know why they don't like putting the thing out, but let's see what we got here. We're going to have to go through all of these here. Half-inch diameter hail at Wrightstown Base. So, there you go. We can actually, there's a whole bunch of these here. Thunderstorm wind damage in Whitesbog, trees down in the eastern portion of Pemberton Township. Thunderstorm wind damage in Morris County, down tree. So you can see these storms really just caused a lot of damage. 1-inch hail. I told you there would be a lot of hail with all the white on the radar. I mean, that was a lot. I never seen hail like that show up on the radar. That is impressive. And we could just keep going here. Social media of Mercer County damage. I don't know why they don't have like a summary. And we got to keep going one by one here. Large tree down, Hanover. Ping pong ball sized hail in Browns Mills. Wow. Ping pong, but social media report of 1-inch hail in Browns Mills. 1-inch hail, a quarter-sized hail in Pemberton. So lots and lots of reports of hail here. Really, really impressive to see. I'm kind of curious now, being that we have... Let's go to Twitter and let's see if we can find... some of these reports on social media. All right. No, I don't know. Why now? Leave me alone. No, we're not posting anything. We're going to search here. Let's go Browns Mills. Let's see if we can get some. Maybe somebody took video of the storm, maybe. No, it doesn't look like it. Somebody shared it on social media, but I don't know where. And you know what? I'm not going to go on a witch hunt looking for it, all right? Witch hunt, whatever. They're not going to make it easy to find the information. You know the way it goes. If I have video, I'll share it in a community post. Somebody probably has video. Maybe Live Storms Media will have video. I can share it for you. But anyway, again, here are those storms just popping up. It's pretty crazy what happened. And looking at the skies this afternoon here in Mineola, when I went out, I saw some of these clouds. Of course, here in Mineola, we don't have open space, so I have to go to the top of a parking garage. You can see this storm on the northern horizon here. It's the cumulonimbus here. Pretty impressive-looking cloud. I saw it when I stepped out. I'm like, well, I've got to get up to the parking garage already. Already it was looking a little less colorful when I got there, but again, that's what it is because we don't have any open space here in Mineola, especially on my street. And then from another parking garage view, looking at of that storm, that was over Jersey. You could see the anvil just spreading out across the sky. This was around 3 o'clock. Another shot of it. You could see Mamatis as well. And then another look at some storm clouds looking off to the west. And then when I got to Babylon, it was just an overcast sky. We had the dreary stratus around. Yeah, I actually heard thunder and actually saw some flash of lightning in the distance around 3:15 while I was waiting for the train. So, yeah, it was it came close, but it was in the anvil basically over us. But we didn't really we didn't get any rain here at all. We could use some rain too, because it's been rather dry, despite all this crazy humidity that we're dealing with right now. 78 degrees with a dew point of 76 at Farmingdale. So really, just really muggy, disgusting. Out just looking at what the day was like in Farmingdale. You could see here, not that hot because the sun really wasn't out. We had maybe a few breaks here and there, but we got it to low 80s. But these dew points were high. Look at that, upper 70s. Very high dew points tonight. Very unpleasant. So let's go look at the highs. And over Long Island, it wasn't that hot. But if you were in Jersey, it was hot. So generally low 80s, maybe mid 80s in the northern Nassau. LaGuardia still got up to 90. But it's New Jersey where it's still at the 90s, mid 90s, and that was the heat that helped supply the fuel for these storms. And of course, the lows didn't really drop that much. See, lows. Look at the lows. They're only in the mid to upper. Look at that. A low is 78. I think it's a very, very high low temperatures. So let's go to the precipitation because this is where it's going to get interesting. So we'll go to the 12-hour precipitation, and we'll show you where those rainfall reports are, and we'll get some rainfall reports here. And there are higher amounts than this, for sure. You can see there, McGuire is reporting Fort Dix 1.59 as far as rainfall goes, but there are going to be higher amounts than that. 2.26 there, it looks like in Howell, and go up a little further, you can see depending on where the storms hit. Where they didn't hit, you don't have much rain at all, but where they did hit, plenty of rain. So let's go further north because I know there are flash flooding reports here, and yeah, so here we go further north into the Hudson Valley, and this is the other area that got hit pretty hard. And then we have more rain. We got a three-inch amount there in Harworth, in Bergen County. And let's see what we've got over here. And I know Port Jervis, they said Port Jervis was hit hard too. So let's take a look at Port Jervis here. If we can get a reading out of Port Jervis. There are no readings out of Port Jervis, but definitely over an inch of rain in that area. And then as we go into Westchester as well. Let's see if we can get nothing out of Westchester, surprisingly. So let's go to the Wonder Map. That'll be our next. This will give us some more observations as far as precipitation goes, so we can get an idea here. Because there are a lot of spots with that network just misses. All right, and we're going to go in here and look at some of these sites in here, because these are the areas that really got pounded here. 2 inches of rain around Country Lake Estates and Browns Mills, south of Browns Mills and Brownsville's proper. Pemberton reporting 4.18 inches. And yes, these are on the outskirts of the Pine Barrens. That's this whole green area you see here. You have Plumstead Township, almost 3 inches of rain, 2.81. South of Cassville, 3.3 inches. But then when you go into Lakehurst, nothing, barely anything, 0.13. Toms River got absolutely nothing. And so it depends on where you were as to where these storms hit. And, how much rainfall you got. But there's some areas that got a lot of rain next to other areas that barely got any. The storms didn't move much, so they kind of just stayed over the same areas. Here's another really high, Jackson, 3.78. So, again, some of those areas of Western Ocean County, 2.71, also getting a lot of rain out of these. So, very impressive activity. But as far as Long Island goes, we don't have anything. We can get anything, maybe a few tenths of an inch up on the North Shore, but that's it. We barely got anything here at all. It's pretty. Watch the storms. I'm like, we can't get any rain here. That's the issue that we have. And again, looking at the satellite, you can see here there's some really beautiful air up here coming into Canada, but we're not going to get into any of that because we got this stall front that we're playing with right now. And you'll see here when we look at the weather map, you see there's your stall front right there, right over, just over like the, maybe over the Poconos there, it looks like. So it's stuck, stretching up all the way up into the capital region. There's your front just stalled out right there, not moving at all. Again, stall front syndrome. Looking at the MODIS satellite, you can see, we got another storm. We got to talk about a lot of tropical weather, too. So you can see here, this is what we're dealing with today. Again, beautiful air up in Canada. We're not going to see any of that. We are seeing the fires start to die down a little bit in Canada, which is good news. But I'm not really going to talk too much about the smoke. It was really an impressive day across the area. So let's go to our climate statistics for the day. And we'll look at Islip here first. High of 84. Still above normal. We're supposed to be around 77. So that's 7 degrees above normal. The low at Islip, I wonder if that's going to be a record high low. Of 70s, I guess not. But 77 degrees is all it got down to. It just shows you how this humidity just holds in the heat. So that's 15 degrees above normal. So that puts us 11 degrees above normal for the day. Absolutely no rain so far this month. Central Park still managed to get up to 90 in Central Park, and that's 11 degrees above normal. So for the day, we were 9 degrees above normal. Newark, probably in the 90s, 92. Yep, Newark was 11 degrees above normal for the day. So you get an idea of how warm it was. And again, JFK as well got up to 86, 9 degrees above normal. And again, you throw in the humidity, and the humidity with these dew points in the mid to upper 70s. It just feels so muggy and so disgusting out there. It's really, really disgusting. Let's go to the rivers and lakes, and I just want to look at that. Go to the rivers and lakes, and you see how isolated severe flash flood threat this weekend. It says up here, so we're gonna have that threat all weekend long because of the stall front that's hanging out in the area. That's again, we don't have a jet stream or anything to move it along. That's what the unusual thing is about these storms, is that they just don't move when they form, so they hit the same areas over and over again. So let's see. We don't have any gauges in flood. All right, that's good. So there's just flash flooding, no river flooding from these storms. There's some really impressive rainfall amounts, though. So let's go look at the Storm Prediction Center, and you'll see here they still have that. We're at a marginal risk for severe weather. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch. Looking at tomorrow, that marginal risk stays to our west. However, that could easily be moved a little bit east. All right. Looking at your Sunday, no severe weather threat. So let's go to the next weather story. Obviously, Hurricane Lee. So let's talk about Hurricane Lee, which is an incredibly strong hurricane. So as of 5 p.m., core of powerful Hurricane Lee is expected to pass well north of the northern Leeward Islands this weekend. Dangerous surf and rip currents expected to develop along the western Atlantic through early next week. So as of 5 p.m., its location is 18.9 north, 55.5 west, about 500 miles east of the northern Leeward Islands, about 150 miles. The maximum sustained winds are 150 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 942 millibars, 27.82 inches. So reading again, as of 5 p.m., the center of Hurricane Lee was located near latitude 18.9 north and longitude 55.5 west. Lee is moving toward the west-northwest near 13 miles an hour, and this motion is expected to continue through early next week with a significant decrease in forward speed. On the forecast track, Lee is expected to pass well to the north of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico over the weekend and into early next week. So fortunately, those places are spared. Maximum sustained winds are near 150 miles an hour with higher gusts. Lee is a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. Some fluctuations in intensity are, somebody has read that it was 5. I guess maybe it briefly got up to 5, but it's mainly staying at a very high end 4. Some fluctuations in intensity are likely over the next few days. However, Lee is expected to remain a powerful hurricane through early next week. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 35 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 150 miles from the center. So let's go look at the warning cone, the cone of uncertainty here that we call it, and you can see it's as far as it goes. So, and you can see it just gets bigger as time goes on. And this thing's going to really slow down by Wednesday, which is a ways away. It's still only going to be over here, which is well south of Bermuda, and it's still going to be a ways away. And that's the thing. So let's go look at what it looks like on the satellite right now. So let's go to our satellite imagery, and we'll put Lee on here. I got to talk about Margaret too, but let's talk about Lee here. I think looks like the well-defined eye is kind of fading. Looks like it's going through what we call an eye wall replacement cycle. So we don't have that well-defined eye that we had before. We're just getting a ton of convection. So it's probably going through a metamorphosis of some sort, and it's probably redeveloping its eye. Hurricanes do that, so we don't really see that well-defined eye that we saw yesterday. But it's still, it's not like it's really this is not a sign of weakening. It's just basically redeveloping itself is one way of putting it. So let's go talk about Margaret here. We'll go to Margaret. All right, we'll just talk about Margaret briefly because, again, Margaret, tropical storm Margaret, just 35-mile-an-hour winds, max sustained winds 40 miles an hour. Then it's pressure. It's just it will become a hurricane when it moves further north. But this is not going to be a threat to land. So I'm not really going to talk about it too much. It's just going to stay out in the open ocean. And right now, it really doesn't look that strong. Power outage situation in New Jersey, by the way, is down to 10,000. But we had a lot of power outages earlier on. So let's go back to the National Hurricane Center. And I think I accidentally just closed Tropical Tidbits, which I shouldn't have done. So I got to reopen it. I don't know where it went. I know I had it up here. We'll find it. Somewhere I had it. Well, you know what? Sometimes it happens. You got so much stuff going on, you got to just do that. That's all. But anyway, let's go and look at the satellite imagery. And I think I might have just closed that down to no. Oh, here we go. So let's look at Margaret just briefly. And then we have the Pacific storm, too, that we have that we're going to talk about as well. So, yeah, Margaret looking disorganized. So let's go to the Pacific, because we got a Pacific storm, too. I think it's Jova, right? Is that the one? Yeah, look at Jova. This one looks impressive. So let's go to the Hurricane Center on that. We'll go to the Eastern Pacific here and just briefly talk about Jova here. It's a hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles an hour, minimum social pressure 980 millibars. So I'm not really going to talk about much. It's in the middle of the ocean. It's not threatening anyone. So let's go to Tropical Tidbits now and take a look at the Hurricane Lee on the satellite here. And you can see, again, lots of convection. It's just redeveloping itself. Look at how high those cloud tops are. So it's all it's doing is redeveloping itself. Looking at the spaghetti models here, we can look at the spaghetti models, and the good news is we're seeing more of them take it and recurve it out. The slower it is, I think the more of a chance it is that it's going to get caught in that trough and be swept away. So the slower movement is actually a better thing. Looking at this, and I know the media, some of the media places are trying to already sensationalize it, but right now these are the GEFS tracks, and you can see most of them take it away from us. You see that right there. GEPS ensembles, every single one of them takes it away from us now. All right, so that's good on these particular models here. Looking at your intensity, you know, it's going to stay well up there. All right, for sure. But the good news is at least it looks like more of the models seem to want to take it away. But we got to look at some more of the models before we, you know, because that's just the GFS, and I don't even know if that shows the European or not. But we're going to look at the European, and that's what we're going to start with first. Actually, let's go ahead and look at the European. And I'm going to move this to Eastern U.S. view. So we're going to move this to Eastern, and we're going to move this back to the 12Z European. So we're going to start with the European because the European is the one that keeps threatening us at this point. So here's the European, but look at that. The European also takes it away because it's slower, and because it's slower, it gets caught up in that trough. The trough is moving a little faster. I'm not saying we're out of the woods, but it's definitely looking better than it did a few days ago. And you see it takes it away from us. Though, again, it looks like Nova Scotia would have to deal with getting hit by this, which would be a major disaster. And, you know, they had a hurricane, was it last year or the year before? So this is going to become more of a commonplace due to climate change, and places in Nova Scotia are going to get hit. They actually stick out further, so they're actually worse off than we are to some extent. But you see, this is the European. It takes it away from us. GFS... we'll run the GFS now. GFS also takes it away from us, but it's still close enough that it's going to have significant effects on the coasts. And Cape Cod could get some of the tropical storm conditions, perhaps, from this. So if the Cape going to have to pay attention, we still have to watch this. But because it's slower and because you have this high building in, it's going to help to keep it away from us. And I really hope that this trend continues at this point. So things are looking better than they did a couple of days ago. But this is still going to be a major storm. So let's go talk a little more about the short term here, because we're going to have a sucky weekend on our hands with stall front syndrome that we're going to be dealing with. So let's look at the HRRR here, and you'll see here the humidity will and the chance for rain will, you know, basically be around. It looks like it's mainly inland again tomorrow, so mainly the same areas that got it today have that risk tomorrow as well. And then into Sunday, it gets a little more widespread, and we see a little more widespread shower activity. Again, the front is just stuck here. That's not moving. All right. So let's look at the dew points, and you'll see when we look at the dew points, you'll see that stall front right there. So you see that beautiful, nice, dry air. Now, if you're in western New York, like Buffalo, and maybe even north, like well up there, maybe like Plattsburgh or whatever, into Canada, and also into western Pennsylvania and Ohio, you're going to get relief from the humidity, a little bit of relief from the humidity. But we are going to be stuck in the humidity. You can see south to onshore southeast winds, very humid conditions, dew points in the 70s, and that's going to continue into Sunday. Very humid, and it's that humidity that's the fuel for these storms. But you need the heat, you need the rising air, and that's mainly over the inland areas where you see it's hotter, where temperatures get well into the 80s to 90. For the rest of us on Long Island, we'll be in the low to mid 80s. And then for Sunday, we're seeing temperatures will be a little more cloud cover, so temperatures probably only low 80s, but it's still going to be pretty warm. Feeling pretty warm when you throw that humidity into the picture. Looking at the RGEM, we'll go to the skies on the RGEM here and use that for the skies. So I'll show you here. Obviously, you're going to be dealing with some clouds. There'll be breaks of sun. Partly sunny day tomorrow again, but there'll probably be some good deal of clouds around, obviously, and then a chance for any showers and thunderstorms. And then Sunday, we'll be dealing with a lot more in the way of clouds. I don't think we'll be dealing with mostly cloudy conditions. So Sunday looks like the worst day as far as sunshine goes. All right, and Monday we continue to stay in the clouds, and then maybe by 2. That's as far as I'm going to go here. Let's go to the NAM 3. This is the NAM 3, and go to the 18Z NAM 3 as well. And I'm not so much looking at clouds. I want to move this over to precipitation. See what it develops, because you can see NAM 3 is pretty quiet. It doesn't really develop much. It's Sunday. Even Sunday, it doesn't really show a whole lot going on. The irony is we're in this really saturated humid air mass, and we can't get any rain to fall over Long Island. No thunderstorms. I mean, it's all inland. But the atmosphere is very, very unstable. So let's go and look at Ventus Sky here. I actually have Ventus Sky already open, so we're going to go and look at thunderstorms, because we're going to have a lot of cape around tomorrow. Let's go look at Saturday here, and you can see lots of cape, particularly over Long Island here. There's instability, but the problem is there's no heating to really cause these thunderstorms to really, you can see there's one over here that's formed. But again, these cape is favorable. Lifted index is favorable, so any storms that develop will most likely be severe, as we saw today. But they seem to not be forming over us because of that, marine layer. But we'll see. Maybe tomorrow we can get it to happen. It's very hard to predict exactly where and when, but the chance is there, and hopefully, I say hopefully because we really could use some rain here on Long Island. We haven't had any rain at all this month. 9 days now. All right, we had a wet August. We have these wet periods, and then we have these dry periods. It's kind of strange, But anyway, let's talk a little more about Lee here and the effects. I don't know how far we're going to be able to go out with this. Just look at Lee here for a moment. Let's see. This is going to show what the GFS does with Lee, I think. Where is Lee here? Lee is over here. What is that? Oh, I'm sorry. I went way too far. Here's Lee. My mistake. Showing something else. I'm not running the GFS that far out. But let's take a look at Lee here and take a look and see where it goes. And you can see here, Lee, again, this is the GFS. Actually, it's the icon. You can see a very powerful hurricane here that it's showing. All right. And you can see here, let me take this into, you can see it's taking that north track here. Here we are on Thursday, so it's staying way out there. And it's not bothering anyone, and that's the important thing. I'm still in the icon here. Right, this is the icon model, which I didn't look at. But you can see it's going to get... Oh, you know why there's no consistency? Because, all right, there it is. Here's the GFS. So this is the closest path. And you could see that the Cape could get brushed by some tropical storm conditions here. The worst of it would be out over the ocean. And it would weaken as it gets closer to us, but it could still be a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane sitting right here, which is close. And that's the concern that we have. And I know this doesn't really do This doesn't do waves, unfortunately, this model. So we don't, but you can see we're going to have some high surf from this for sure. And this is just one model. There's also windy.com, but I know that's not going to take us. That's not going to take us far enough out. I don't think we can look at it and see if it does. But I think it only takes us to Wednesday the 13th. But we can go as far as that, and you can see the kind of storm that we're dealing with here. And look, this is the European, and this is not even the. We got to go to wind gusts to really show you how this thing is really. So this is going to be a Category 5 hurricane, Category 4 hurricane, and even though it's going to miss the islands, it's still going to have effects. And look at how big this thing is too. So that's the concern, is even if it does stay away from us, the center of it, we may still have some significant effects. But right now, like I said, this is as far as this model is willing to go at this point. As far as again, the windy.com model only goes out till basically 5 days. So if you want to get further, then you got to. They charge now. It's absolutely despicable, absolutely shameful. They actually want to make money off of this, but there's a special place in hell for people like that. But anyway, let's go back to tidbits here. We'll have to use the tidbits model because at least we have that, and show you again European 12Z, and we can look at the winds here, and we're showing the European now. All right, this is the European model. All right, so there's Lee, and you can see the wind field would stay away from us here on this particular. You can see it gets into. It affects the Cape Cod. Let's go to the GFS next. GFS is still faster. GFS actually takes it a little closer to us. Has a larger. The concern here is that we're dealing with a large storm. So the east end may even have to require, even if it takes this track, the east end of Long Island might have to have a tropical storm warning, perhaps. All right. And the Cape, who knows? Still, the Cape I'm a little more concerned about. Maine and Nova Scotia for sure. Let's see what the icon does, or the icon is not going to go far enough out. All right, yeah, that's what I figured. So, anyway, that's what we have for you tonight. So, again, active situation, and again, we could have more thunderstorms tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens. Like I said, I think that there's a good chance that we could see some. In fact, there's just one more model I want to look at here. That's the HDRPS, which is sort of like an experimental model, but for tomorrow as far as the thunderstorms go. And we'll see what happens with that. So this is the HDRPS, which is sort of like an experimental model. But I just want to see. It's developed in the Midland again because that marine layer just keeps things stable. But it does have a few cells that might pop up over Long Island. We'll have to see what happens. But the problem is, and we go to the GFS here, and we look at just total accumulated rainfall here. This is a low resolution here. You can see you can see the trend is most of it is to the north. And like I said, this is a low resolution. Let's go to the NAM 12, which is a higher resolution model. And you can see the problem is most of that rain is to the north. We're not getting into it much of it at all in Long Island. And the same thing for the coastal parts of New Jersey as well. So this is a trend here. That's not good because now we're getting into another dry, drought-like period that we're going to have to be careful with. Hopefully we can get some rain between now and Tuesday or something. So now and Monday, because things are dry. So that's going to wrap up this weather update. Have a good night.